Positions against dialecticism. Here are some academic and philosophical positions that critique or attempt to disprove dialectical opposites, primarily focusing on the critique of dialectical materialism and dialectical methods in philosophy. 1. Karl Popper, The Open Society and Its Enemies, 1945 position. Popper criticizes Hegelian dialectics and Marxist dialectical materialism, which he sees as pseudoscientific because they claim to predict historical outcomes based on a dialectical process. Argument. Popper argues that dialectics often involves a manipulation of concepts where contradictions are resolved in a predetermined manner, thus lacking empirical falsifiability. He particularly criticizes the idea of historical inevitability inherent in dialectical materialism, suggesting it leads to totalitarian tendencies. Primary source, Popper, Kate 1945. The Open Society and Its Enemies. Volume 2, The High Tide of Prophecy, Hegel, Marx, and the Aftermath, 2. Isaiah Berlin, Two Concepts of Liberty, 1958 position. Berlin critiques the Hegelian and Marxist notion of dialectics for promoting a form of monism that justifies coercion in the name of an ideal end state or historical necessity. Argument. He contrasts positive liberty, which aligns with dialectical processes where individuals are freed through some form of collective or historical process, with negative liberty, freedom from interference by others, arguing the former can lead to oppressive outcomes. Primary source, Berlin, I. 1958. Two Concepts of Liberty, an inaugural lecture delivered before the University of Oxford on the 31st of October 1958. 3. Ludwig von Mises, Theory and History, 1957 position. Mises, an economist and philosopher, critiques dialectical materialism from an economic and methodological standpoint, linking it with historicism. Argument. He argues that dialectics negates the possibility of economic calculation and rational choice by emphasizing historical determinism over individual action. Mises advocates for methodological individualism, where each action is seen as a product of human choice, not dialectical inevitability. Primary source, Mises, L. von 1957. Theory and History, an interpretation of social and economic evolution, 4. Friedrich Hayek, The Counter-Revolution of Science, 1952 position. Hayek criticizes the scientific approach of dialectical materialism for misunderstanding the nature of social phenomena, which he believes cannot be understood through a dialectical process akin to physical laws. Argument. He argues that social sciences should not mimic the methods of natural sciences, especially not through dialectics, which he sees as an oversimplification of human behavior and social structures. Primary source, Hayek, F. 8, 1952. The Counter-Revolution of Science, Studies on the Abuse of Reason, 5. Gilles Deleuze, Difference and Repetition, 1968 position. Deleuze critiques traditional dialectics for reducing difference to opposition or contradiction, thus negating the genuine multiplicity and intensity of differences. Argument. He proposes a philosophy of difference in itself, where differences are not merely dialectically resolved but are generative and productive in their own right. Deleuze sees dialectics as a homogenizing force that doesn't genuinely account for the creativity of difference. Primary source, Deleuze, G. 1968. Difference and repetition. These thinkers provide diverse critiques ranging from methodological concerns to ontological and epistemological objections against the dialectical framework, particularly as it has been applied in historical materialism or understood in Hegelian philosophy. Their works offer primary sources for understanding the depth and variety of opposition to dialectical thought.
A little bit of footwork for an appearance I'm going to be making later this week, so